Hey guys, so looking through Mystery Booster Commander, I saw a lot of interesting commanders. And none of them are like game breaking or groundbreaking, but I think a lot of them have an interesting playstyle or like fill in the niche that a lot of people like have been clamoring for. And one in particular, which is the one on screen, caught my attention because it is the Ooze Commander excuse me, the ooze commander that I think a lot of people have been looking forward to or asking for. Personally, I've been aware of the the clamor for an ooze commander, but I've personally never really looked into it. But now that there's this card, I wanted to look at all the possible ooze cards that could go into this. So first of all, of course, I think we should look at the commander itself. This is uugguu, the Omniplasm for black, green, blue, or Sultai. For a legendary creature ooze that reads, whenever another non-token ooze creature you control dies, create two tokens that are copies of that creature except they're 2/2 and they aren't legendary. And it's a 2/2. Interesting flavor text. It doesn't hunt, it doesn't hunger, it simply waits as all oozes eventually find their way back to it. Personally, I think it's from lore-wise. I think it's from Moraganda because they've got a lot of oozes there, and I think the naming convention. Well, I don't know. The naming convention might fit, but it's got a sword in its slime, and I think Moraganda hasn't reached like medieval level technology. It's more of a like a dinosaur time. I think that's the vibe I got from Aether Drift. Anyway, so yeah, talking about this, it's Sultai. It's ooze, definitely ooze kindred, because it only cares about non-token ooze creatures. But it's an interesting effect because whenever a non-token ooze dies, it creates two tokens. So you want them to die, which signals something of an aristocrat's a sacrifice deck of some sort. Because you want them, you can't go into mill because they bypass the dying trigger. But once it does die, it creates two tokens. So you'd want the ooze that you have to die. The ooze to have like powerful ETBs or death triggers or even static abilities. I guess even activated abilities if it's a tap ability, so that you can do two in one turn. And the fact that the copies become two-twos means that you shouldn't want oozes that grow big, or maybe you do want them, the ones that grow, but you have to cut them down early so that two of them grow big eventually. Yeah, so let's get into it. I think there are 51. I have 51 oozes here, so I think acidic slime. It's a three green green for a death touch ooze, 2/2 death touch ooze with an ETB, destroy target artifact, enchantment, or land. Um, it's just good. I guess it's a 5 to cast removal, which is something you want. So it's an overlap. It is 5 for 2/2, but it does enter the battlefield and destroys an artifact, enchantment, or land. So you should treat it as like a removal card. Sorry, a removal for artifact, enchantment, or land. It can destroy land, which is something significant. And the fact that it stays as a 2/2 death touch is great because even if it dies after blocking, sacrifices itself to a maybe a disadvantageous blocking, it turns into two and then can destroy two more. So yeah, moving on. A progenitor ooze, storm. It's got storm. It's a legendary creature. It's got storm. It isn't legendary if it's a token, so it's got that built in. But then Ugu already did that, and it enters the battlefield with a +1/+1 counter on it for each other ooze you control. The storm, I don't know how relevant the storm will be, but the fact that it enters the battlefield with a +1/+1 counter for each other ooze means it's kind of a win con because it gets big, and even if it dies, it makes two really big ones. So it's more of a late game size matters card. So yeah, I think this is good. Ancient Ooze, damn, 7. Ancient Ooze's power and toughness are each equal to the total converted mana cost of other creatures you control. I think that copies uh copies copy the mana cost, or sorry, converted mana cost or the mana value. So I think this is good, but the problem is that it's 7 to cast to begin with. So mm, maybe a 2 out of 5, maybe even a 1 out of 5, maybe 2. Biogenic Ooze, 3 generic green green. When this creature enters, create a 2/2 green ooze creature token. Very cool. Beginning of each end step, put a +1/+1 counter on each ooze you control. And it has a generic green green green. Create a 2/2 green ooze creature token. Clearly, this is from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. They've got a lot of oozes. So yeah, this is a very good go wide for ooze kindred. Yeah, get it. Bioplasm. A lot of these oozes are fine to cast. It's from, I think that's Dissension. Yeah. 3 generic green green. Ooze, whenever Bioplasm attacks, remove the top card of your library from the game. If it's a creature card, Bioplasm gets plus X plus Y until end of turn, where X is the remove creature card's power and Y is its toughness. Um, it does not synergize exactly with Ugu, but it is a fine card. It is 5 to cast 4/4, but then it exiles the top card of your library. I don't think anything in the Ooze deck would give it value for this. Like, it won't synergize as well. So maybe 1, maybe 2, 1 out of 5. I don't know. Buy Waste Blob. 2 generic green green from, what's this? Masters? Commander Masters? No, wait. CMR. Hmm. No, it's Commander Master CMM. Um, well, can't remember what CMR stands for. So Biowaste Blob to generic green green. Oozes you control get +1/+1. Very good. Very go wide ooze kindred. At the beginning of your upkeep, if you control a commander, create a token that's a copy of Biowaste Blob. Damn. Yeah. Great. What the heck? You should. Yeah, you should run it. Consuming Blob. 3 generic green green. Consuming Blob's power is equal to the number of card types among cards in your graveyard, and its toughness is equal to that number plus 1. This is delirium adjacent effect. At the beginning of your end step, create a green ooze creature token with this. Oh yeah, so basically make a copy of this creature. Um, yeah, again 5 to cast, but in green I guess that's fine, right? The fact that, I mean, it again doesn't synergize exactly well. But the fact that, I mean, you're going to have at least creatures in your graveyard, so that will be a 1/2 at the minimum, unless of course your graveyard gets exiled. At least it's a 0/1. But it creates a copy of itself at the end step. I'd say, yeah, a lot of these oozes are go wide. I'm realizing. Yes, an old card from, I don't know. Is this Legions? I don't know. Black creature ooze. Generic black target creature gets -1/-1 until end of turn. Put a +1/+1 counter on consumptive goo. Ooh. So I mean, it's a 1/1 for 2 to cast. When it dies, it becomes 2/2/2s, right? But the activated ability, the fact that it's an activated ability for mana with a mana cost means that you don't really get much of an advantage by splitting it into two. So I'd say maybe 1 out of 5. Doesn't seem that much worth it. It's an old card. Corrosive Ooze. Oh, a 2 to cast. We need one of those. There's been so many 5 to cast. 2 to cast 2/2 when Corrosive Ooze blocks or becomes blocked by an equipped creature. Destroy all equipment attached to that creature at the end of combat. Oh, so well, I mean, it's a very niche situation, I think. Not that niche. There are a lot of equipment decks out there, but I mean, you can't guarantee like you'll have a situation where the equipment will matter that much, I think. So anyway, at least this is a 2 for 2 2, and when it dies, or if it dies, it becomes two versions of it, which is great. Expanding ooze, generic black green for 3 3. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. That's a good rate. Black green adapt one whenever. Sure, adapt is if this creature has no +1/+1 counters on it, put a +1/+1 counter in it. Whenever expanding ooze attacks, put a +1/+1 counter on target modified creature you control. Interesting, because it uses the modified batching keyword, sorry, batching word, whatever. So it can care about basically all of your creatures with counters, equipments, and auras. But I think with oozes, you really like, uh, you're more, you tend towards counters. Interesting, interesting. I think this is, yeah, auto include. Yeah, it's pretty good. Experiment Crash. Generic, two generic green, green, blue, blue. This is the Simic, uh, the Simic Legendary. Legendary creature Ooze Mutant. Experiment Crash has all activated abilities of each other creature with a +1/+1 counter on it. Tap with a +1/+1 counter on target creature. That's pretty good. And if you notice the wording, you can steal activated abilities by putting +1/+1 counters on your opponent's creatures, or they might just have +1/+1 counters to begin with, so you don't have to do the work for them. Um, yeah, it's just really good. It plays more into the +1/+1 counter synergy or theme than Ugu is supposed to. I think, but the fact that Ugu splits this could split this into two. Unfortunately, Experiment Crash would go down to a 2/2, but it would be two 2/2s, and you can use the tap ability twice. So I think either Experiment Crash becomes some kind of like a late game Voltron, or just a powerhouse of putting +1/+1 counters. So I think more on the second one, because Ugu wants go wide, seems to be go wide. Experiment 1. Green. Evolve. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control, if that creature has greater power toughness than this creature, put a +1/+1 counter on this creature. A remove two +1/+1 counters from Experiment 1, regenerate Experiment 1. It's a 1/1. Does not directly synergize with Ugu, but it has staying power and it's got +1/+1 synergy. So yeah, it's good. And it's a 1 to cast. Felix, Felix 5 boots for 2 generic black, green, blue. Ooze Rogue. It's a cowboy. 5/4 Menace Ward 2. If a creature you control dealing combat damage to a player causes a triggered ability of a permanent you control to trigger, that ability triggers an additional time. I don't think we've seen a lot of combat damage or saboteur effects with oozes, so I hesitate to include Felix 5 boots. I think he makes a great commander, but not for oozes, and not in the 99 for Ugu. Gelatinous Cube. Two generic black black ooze 4/3 ooze. When Gelatinous Cube enters the battlefield, exile target non-ooze creature an opponent controls until Gelatinous Cube leaves the battlefield and dissolve. X black, put target creature card with mana value X exiled with Gelatinous Cube into its owner's graveyard. It's interesting that this works like a Oblivion Ring or whatever they call the new ones nowadays. Um, Damn, I forget. Anyway, an Oblivion Ring uh, in black. I think the 4/3 doesn't matter as much as the effect. I think the effect is a much stronger effect. The fact that if this dies, because your opponent is incentivized to kill it, because when it goes away, the opponent gets it back. But then you get two. I think this is a great include in Ugu. Gluttonous Slime. Two generic green for 2/2 ooze, flash, devour one. This is great because Devar is as this enters the battlefield, you may sacrifice any number of creatures. This creature enters the battlefield with that many +1/+1 counters on it. I think this combines both the sacrifice and the +1/+1 themes. And it does matter. It's a 2/2 to begin with, so it doesn't matter if it gets split into two 2/2s. It's upside. And it's flash. Crazy. Yeah, I think this is a great pick. Goblin Ooze. 4 generic and a green for a 3/3 green. Sacrifice another creature, put a +1/+1 counter on Goblin Ooze. I think this is another one. Combines both a or a sacrifice theme and the +1/+1 counter theme. Interesting. But it's 5 cast. Maybe we should limit the high mana cost creatures. Green slime, 2 generic and green for a 2/2 ooze flash. It's good. When green slime enters the battlefield, counter target activated or triggered ability from an artifact or enchantment source. If a permanent's ability is countered this way, destroy that permanent. For Tel Green, very interesting. Um, yeah, it's basically counter. This is the counter ability. This is the what is it called? Damn, I forget the card that counters abilities, but that it is that I forget. Damn, there's so many cards I forget. But it's that in ooze form, in slime form, as opposed to acidic slimes like destroy artifact or enchantment. And the fact that it also destroys a land is such an upside. So this, I think, yeah, it's good. Hecta is it's a Final Fantasy card. It's an ooze horror. Two to cast. Generic black 1/1 ooze horror. When this creature enters, each opponent discards a card. Yeah, I think we need more low mana cost. We need more low mana cost creatures. This goes in. Ice Flan, another Final Fantasy. Yeah, because we got so many slimes in video games. Wow, it's a 4 generic blue blue for a 5/4. When this creature enters, tap target artifact or creature an opponent controls, put a stun counter on it. I think this would be good. The problem is it's a 6 to cast. But it does come built in with island cycling, which might be relevant. There's so many oozes. Majority of oozes are green, and that makes me think that the deck would tend towards forests. So having this would probably help balance out the colors so that you can cycle for an island. Inexorable Blob. Two generic green for an ooze, 3/3 ooze, delirium whenever inexorable blob attacks. If there are four more card types among cards in your graveyard, put a 3/3 green ooze creature token onto the battlefield tap and tapping. Kinda aggressive, but it does make more of itself. Or more of a 3/3. Um I think delirium should be easy to trigger. You'd get creatures, yeah. Instants and sorceries. Yeah, I guess that's always been the problem with Delirium, right? That creatures, instants, and sorceries can get into the graveyard, but it's that fourth card type. So I guess you gotta artifact creatures, enchantment creatures, or make land sack. Yeah, maybe fill your deck with evolving wilds or what do you call them? Evolving wilds type lands. That should work. Mm, and it's free to cast. It's pretty good. Oh yeah, a siege. So Invasion of Morganda, if you turn your head, when Invasion of Morganda enters the battlefield, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control, then that creature fights up to one target creature you don't control. It's a fight. And then if you kill it by removing counters, 6 of it, interesting, you get Primordial Plasm. At the beginning of combat on your turn, another target creature gets +2/+2 and loses all abilities until end of turn. I think it's not that good. What happens when it dies? Does it create two copies of Invasion of Morganda? No, it would create a copy of its current state, I think. I think it would. And even, hmm, I think I need to read the rulings on this, but I think it's too much work. Battle or Siege. So I wouldn't add it anyway. Kinetic Ooze. Secrets of Strixhaven, right? X Green, yeah, definitely. So X green for a 0/0 ooze, but it enters with X +1/+1 counters on it. When this creature enters, destroy up to one target artifact or enchantment with mana value X or less. If X is 5 or more, you draw a card. If X is 10 or more, double the number of plus encounters on any number of other target creatures. Obviously, it is an X spell. Oh, wait. Hmm. Yeah, I think the ruling is that if it dies and makes a copy, it forgets what X is because it gets cast with no mana cost. It enters the battlefield with no mana cost. So this wouldn't work with it's a non-bow with Ugu. Mana Plasm. 2 generic and green for 1/1 whenever you cast a spell, sorry. Mana Plasm gets plus X until end of turn, where X is that spell's converted mana cost. That's great. This is generically good ooze for aggro. Yeah. Mephitic ooze. For generic and black for 0/5, this ooze gets +1/+0 for each artifact you control. Whenever Mephitic ooze deals combat damage to a creature, destroy a creature. That creature can't be regenerated. I think this is not that good. Ugu doesn't have a lot of artifact synergies. Mm, and it's basically Death Touch, right? Yeah. Mimeoplasm, Revered one. X generic Sultai for a 0/0 legendary creature ooze. As it enters, exile up to X creature cards from your graveyard. It enters with 3 +1/+1 counters on it for each creature card exiled this way. If you pay 2 generic, Mimeoplasm becomes a copy of target creature card exiled with it, except it's 0/0 and has this ability. I think this is great because Ugu already um, supports us like an aristocrat or sacrifice style strategy, or it wants your oozes to die. So Mimeoplasm is kind of a way to get them back. So it's both a graveyard synergy and a plus and counter synergy. I think same with the ooze from back from some time ago. We'd need to think about what type of Voltron, what type of abilities are good. But I think we've seen a lot of generically good abilities on oozes. So I think this is just generically, yeah, good to add. Mitotic Slime. 4 generic and green for a 4/4. When it dies, create 2/2 green ooze creature tokens. When they die, create 2/1/1 green ooze creature tokens. This is great because when it dies, it creates 2 of itself, but it also creates if Ugu. Let's just go exponential. If this dies while Ugu is on the field, it creates 2 versions of this, which is 2/2/2/2. But it also the original one creates two twos that die become 2/1/1s, but then there's 2 mitotic slimes, so there's 3 of them. Um, hmm. The first one dies. There's 2/2/2s that die and become 2/1/1s each, but there's 2 mitotic slimes. So one mitotic slime eventually turns into 4/1/1s, but the first time it dies, it creates 2 of itself. So it will eventually create 12, let's just say 12 power on the board. 12/1/1s eventually over time. That's great. Mutagen Man, Living Ooze. Oh wait, it's an X spell. X green green trample activated abilities of artifact tokens you control cost 1 less to activate. When Mutagen Man enters, create X mutagen tokens. What are mutagen tokens? They're artifacts with pay one generic and tap, sacrifice this token, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature, activate only as a sorcery. That's pretty good, I think. But the problem is that this ooze synergizes with, I guess, basically mutagen tokens and food and all the other artifact tokens. I guess you could include them, but then you would be building towards plus and counters, which is not bad. But it's like it's either you go towards graveyard or plus and counter, I think, and I think this goes towards plus and counters more, and specifically mutagen, I guess. So I guess it depends on what you want to build. The heck is this? Moonfully ooze. Cumulative upkeep 2. I believe it means that you pay 2 for every upkeep. You pay 2 for every upkeep you've passed through. So the first upkeep you pay 2, but then the next you pay 4, and the next pay 6, and so on. Has power and toughness each equal to 1 plus its last paid cumulative upkeep. This isn't a mana. This isn't a mana ramp deck. I think there's no way to make this good. I think, but it is a one to cast. But then you get sacrifice if you can pay for it. And if you double it, you have to pay for both. Yeah, it's not good. Necroplasm, generic black black 1/1 ooze at the beginning of your upkeep. Put a +1/+1 counter on necroplasm. Interesting. At the beginning of your end step, destroy each creature with converted mana cost equal to the number of +1/+1. Oh, wait. Each creature with converted mana cost equal to the number of +1/+1. Oh, this could work. It's kind of risky if you destroy your own tokens, but I think you'd need to playtest this. And it has dredge. This is from Commander Masters 2. Interesting. It's pretty good. Interesting card. I'm not sure if it's good or not, but it has potential, I think. Necrotic Ooze. 2 generic black black for 3 ooze. As long as Necrotic Ooze is on the battlefield, it has all activated abilities of all creature cards in all graveyards. It's interesting that it's explicitly written that as long as it's on the battlefield. I think they don't write it like that anymore. I'm not sure. Yeah, it's basically again like a Voltron, like the Mimeoplasm. I think there are enough generic good activated abilities that this would be useful. Yeah, Ochre Jelly. X green. Oh no, it's a 0/0. Oh, it's a Hydra. I think Trample. Ochre Jelly enters the battlefield with X+1/+1 counters on it. When Ochre Jelly dies, if it 2 or more +1/+1 counters on it, create a token that's a copy of it at the beginning of the next end step. That token enters the battlefield with half that many +1/+1 counters on it rounded down. So like it does it for itself that it splits into two, but the problem is it doesn't synergize with Ugus because it would enter with as a 0/0 and it would just die. So I think it's not that good, unfortunately. Ooze Patrol, wow, Aether Drift, so cool, so weird, strange. Strange. 3 generic green ooze. When this creature enters, mill 2 cards, then put a +1/+1 counter on this creature for each artifact and or creature card in your graveyard. Yeah, that's pretty interesting. Um, yeah, it's good for to cast 2/2. And it's +1/+1 and graveyard synergy. Oran Reef Ooze. 2 generic green for 2/2 ooze. When this enters the battlefield, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control. Pretty good. When it attacks, put a +1/+1 counter on each attacking creature with a +1/+1 counter on it. Yeah, auto include, I think. It's a +1/+1 counter synergy card. Predator Ooze, green, 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 for a 1/1 Ooze, indestructible. What the heck? Whenever this creature attacks, put a +1/+1 counter on it. Wow. Whenever a creature dealt damage by this creature this turn dies, put a +1/+1 counter on this creature. That's crazy. Prime Speaker Vanifer. Oh, she's an ooze. 2 generic green blue, 2/4 elf ooze wizard. Tap, sacrifice another creature. Search your library for a creature card with your converted mana cost equal to 1 plus the sacrifice creature's converted mana cost. Put that card onto the battlefield, then shuffle your library. Activate this ability only anytime you could cast a sorcery. She's pod on a creature, and she's ooze pod. She's great. Okay, so since we want graveyard effects or sacrifice effects and you're podding, you're basically toolboxing the ooze. It's an ooze toolbox. And even if she dies, you get two because Ugu makes them non-legendary. That's great. Print lifter ooze. Haha, print lifter. Um, because it's from Murders of Carl at Karlov Manor. 2 to cast 2/2. Cool. Sorry, generic green 2/2. Ooze. Death Touch. Wow, Death Touch. Whenever print left or ooze or another creature you control is turned face up, create a 0/0 green ooze creature token with trample. The token enters the battlefield with X+1/+1 counters on it, where X is the number of other creatures you control. Turned face up, though. Yeah, I don't think this synergizes well. Putrid Pals. Hmm, that looks sad. I wonder what its story is. Muckman. This Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, yeah. Two generic hybrid black green, hybrid black green or Golgari. 3/3 Death Touch. Human ooze mutant. Crazy. Disappear. This creature enters with 2+1+1 counters on it if a permanent left the battlefield under your control this turn. Wait, it's pretty good because it enters as a 2/2, but then it becomes a 3/3 again. Two 3/3s, in fact, because of course it dies itself. Yeah, okay. Ravenous Slime. Two generic green for 1/1. Ravenous Slime can't be blocked by creatures with power 2 or less. If a creature an opponent controls would die, instead exile it and put a number of +1/+1 counters equal to that creature's power on Ravenous Slime. Yeah, this is good. What the heck? If this dies, it becomes stronger. Yeah. Scavenging Ooze. Generic green for 2/2. Ooze creature green. Exile target creature card. Sorry. Exile target card from graveyard. If it was a creature card, put a +1/+1 counter on this creature and you gain 1 life. No notes. This is actually you'd want to target your opponent's graveyards. But I mean, eventually you'll just have a lot of targets. I think. Yeah, it's pretty good. Slick Imitator. Horrifying. There's a skeleton inside that slime, and he has glow. I guess he ate whoever it was. Sheesh. So generic blue 1/3 ooze start your engines right. If you have no speed, it starts at 1. It increases once on each of your turns when an opponent loses life. Max speed is 4. It always surprises me that start your engines can be found on blue cards, but I guess it's about evasion because you only need one damage. So I guess it's an evasion thing for blue. Max speed, pay 1, generic, sacrifice this creature, copy target spell you control. Spell. You may choose new targets for the copy. Interesting. Yeah, that's cool because you sacrifice it, it becomes two copies of itself at 2/2, and then you can do it again. Interesting. Yeah, it's pretty good. Slogger, the Overslime, generic green blue 3/3. Legendary creature ooze trample whenever a land card is put into your graveyard from anywhere. Put a +1/+1 counter on Slogurk the Overslime. Remove 3 +1/+1 counters from Slogurk. Return it to its owner's hand. When Slogurk leaves the battlefield, return up to 3 target land cards from your graveyard to your hand. Although it is both graveyard synergy and what do you call this? +1/+1 counter synergy. There's it's very focused on land, and I think it cares more about mill than like a sacrifice type of strategy. So I think, ironically, despite checking all the boxes, this is not good to put in an Ugu deck. Slurk, all ingesting, 5 generic and green. I think it's partner. Yep, that's one of them. Legendary creature Ooze for 0/0. Oh no, Slurk all ingesting enters the battlefield with 5+1/+1 counters on it. Thank gosh. So even if it dies, it enters. Oh yeah, if it dies, it enters as a 2/2 +5+1/+1 counter 7/7. 2/7/7. It's crazy. Whenever Slurk or another creature you control dies, if it had a +1/+1 counter on it, put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control that has a +1/+1 counter on it. Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, 6 to cast, but I think it's worth it. Yeah. Splitting Slime. 3 generic green green. 3/3 ooze. 4 generic green green for Monstrosity 3. If this creature isn't monstrous, put 3+1/+1 counters on it and it becomes monstrous. When Splitting Slime becomes monstrous, put a token onto the battlefield. That's a copy of Splitting Slime. It's fine. Maybe not. Maybe it tends towards the not add. Temperamental Oozewag. It's a Brushwag. 3 generic green for a 4/4 creature ooze brushwag. It has 2 generic green for an adapt to, which means if it has no +1/+1 counters on it, put 2 +1/+1 counters on it. And it's kindred for modified creatures. Modified creatures you control have trample, so that means again equipment, auras, and things with counters. It's pretty good. Means like essentially plus one creatures with plus one counters on them have trample, which is what we want. Therian, World Tyrant. Oh my god. Two generic green, green, green. Unfortunately, it is vanilla and a 9/7. It doesn't matter if it dies, it becomes two twos. It's vanilla, it does not synergize well. I am so sorry. The Mimeoplasm Original, the OG, two generic black, green, blue. As it enters the battlefield, exile two creature cards from graveyards, including your opponent's graveyards. If you do, it enters the battlefield as a copy of one of those cards with a number of additional plus one counters on it equal to the power of the other card. So yeah, this is great. Steal, grave steal, or get the best creatures from your graveyard. And if it dies, it becomes two versions of it. Ukulon, three generic black for a star 4. What does star mean? Oh, sorry, Crab Ooze Horror. Ukulons, whatever. Power is equal to the number of crabs, oozes, and or horrors you control. Now, of course, if something is both a crab, an ooze, and a horror, it only counts once. That's how it works. But since everything we have is an ooze, that's great. This is like a win con as well, or to, I guess, building up to that. At the beginning of your end step, exile up to one target creature card from an opponent's graveyard. If you do, create a token that's a copy of Ukulon. And the crazy thing about this is if it dies, it makes two of itself, right? Two, two. But the I think the ruling is that since the power the power rewriting effect is inherent. No, what's the word? It overwrites the being two two. So yeah, it toughness might go down to two, I think, but dies turns into two of itself, and then it creates more copies exponentially. That's great. Humor the Collector. It's a 2 hybrid Golgari, 4/5 legendary creature ooze with companion, but I think you don't need to use the companion. Would you? So you just build it full of like oozes and I guess creatures. You build a deck full of creatures, whatever. I think it's not necessary. As Umori, the collector enters the battlefield, choose a card type. So that's creature, spell, artifact. Sorry, not spell. Creature, artifact, enchantment, instant sorcery, land. No, non-land. Um, planeswalker and battle. Right, battles. Oh yeah, and kindred. Sorry. Spells you cast of the chosen type cost one less to cast. I think you could just add this to your 99 and not necessarily have this as your companion. It still works. And then if you kill it and it becomes two of it, yeah, you just get a discount for two. Ooh, sorry, I did not notice. So I guess we only have 50 slimes aside from Ugu. Vanifor evolved Enigma for 2 generic green blue for a 3/4 legendary creature elf ooze wizard. At the beginning of your of combat on your turn, choose one cloak card from your hand. Put it onto the battlefield face down as a 2/2 creature with ward 2, turn face up at any time for its mana cost if it's a creature card. Interesting. Put a +1/+1 counter on each colorless creature you control. I think it seems so it synergizes with like colorless and face down strategies. Is it good? 4 to cast 3/4. Combat on your turn, you get a 2/2 for free. 2/2. I think it's just generically good. I think. Yeah, because I mean, and then if you but then the problem with it is that it bypasses ETB effects, right? Uh, I guess it depends. It depends if there's been a lot of if oozes are predominantly ETB effects. I think there's been a lot. So although I think it might non-bow a good amount of the time, and anyway, it's more of a colorless and face down synergy piece. But I feel like the value is there. I think playtesting is necessary. Oh yeah, and so yeah, those that was 50 oozes for Ugu, the omniplasm. Final thoughts. I think honestly, if I play this on paper, I think it's going to be a pain because I play a Zinnia, the Valley's Voice deck, and that makes a lot of like uh, token copies with changed power toughness. This one creates two. So if you do, even if you proxy it on paper, you'd need to prepare. Well, unless you'd use infinite tokens, which is good enough, but expect that you need a lot of infinite tokens because this would be making two copies of creatures that die is going to be a major strategy, so you gotta prepare for that. Yeah, so I don't know. I think I might just be playtesting this online, if ever. But yeah, I just wanted to review all the oozes and see what predominant strategy trends exist in oozes. So yeah, a lot of them do have +1/+1 counter synergies, and a lot of them do have go wide synergies. Not a lot of them want to die per se, but well, I think the point of most of them dying is that the death trigger triggers them to split into two, which Ugu kind of makes them do, like all of them do. So yeah, that's really interesting. Something of note that I've kind of skipped over here is that shapeshifters and sorry, changelings and copy creatures, because you're in blue, you have those, you have access to those. Also work. So kind of the filler cards for every kindred type, but I think it works here because a lot of them have ETB effects, and if you kill them, you get two of them. So yeah, this video has gone way too long, but I think I appreciated looking at a relatively niche type, and I'm glad that Ugo exists, even if personally I can't get it in paper, and it might be a pain to play. So thank you if you've listened this far. This is a pretty long video. I don't know if I've even provided anything of value. So thank you for listening, and bye bye. Goodbye.